Hello again and welcome to a yoga therapeutic session to help relieve tension in the upper body with that special focus on our eyes and our face, the head, the neck, and the shoulders. We'll start, as we often do, in a resting position on the floor. So you can rest any way that feels good for you, perhaps lying down on your back. Timer ready for you so I can also get it all in a good amount of time. If your back, especially the lower back, is at all uncomfortable, bending your knees, putting your feet on the floor can be a nice way to relieve low back tension. Arms by your side or even resting on your body. If everything feels good in the back, feel free to stretch out your legs one at a time. Give yourself some room and give yourself some time to let your body adjust in this orientation. Notice how it feels in your physical body. Noticing in particular if there are any hard areas, any tight spots, or maybe you feel it as kind of a heat, some inflammation, or even a headache. I was feeling that yesterday, and so I looked for some relief through some therapeutic yoga, and I'm really happy to share some of that with you today. So again, just take a moment to allow yourself to arrive in your body. And notice with every exhalation, if there's any tension, anything you're holding on to that you can release with the breath. So this resting pose is very effective, very comforting for the body by letting the weight of your body be supported by the earth that is rising up to meet you. So the earth is big enough, strong enough to take whatever you'd like to give it. See if again you can let go with an exhale of anything you don't need and allow yourself to just be here and noticing what you feel. We're also going to work with the breath. And I'd like you to start by now noticing your natural breathing without attempting to control it or change it. See if you can simply observe it neutrally, also without any judgment. No need to criticize or tell yourself a story about what it could or should be. See if you can just notice a little bit more all of the qualities of your natural breathing. If it's possible, breathing in through the nose with every inhale. If it feels easy and free, breathing out through the nose or the mouth, that can also be a nice way to release tension. And wherever you are, we're going to slowly start to deepen your breathing. So at the end of the next exhale, get all of the old air out. You can squeeze your belly in to help that expulsion of air. And then start to inhale just a little bit longer, maybe adding 1 second. And a gentle pause. And then on your exhale, you also lengthen for at least that same amount of time. And fully release. Continue in your own rhythm so that every inhale gradually, spontaneously, and above all, easily, no stress, just more breath. And then your exhales, take the time to let it be smooth, soft, and complete. Every exhale, releasing all the way. Like this, you will naturally arrive at what feels like a very full and should still be comfortable breathing rhythm. And your exhales have gradually reached a very long, quiet length. This may take some adjustment, and feel free to continue exploring that expansion and that lengthening. Just make sure you're not forcing yourself. You're not struggling, and it shouldn't feel ever difficult to breathe. If you do feel at any point like this has become challenging or stressful in any way, simply return to your natural breathing. Once you've arrived at this very long and still comfortable breathing rhythm, we're just going to stay here for about the next minute, letting your breathing rhythm be slow, which will help encourage your body to relax, start to activate the parasympathetic nervous system. It's really a part of us that turns on our resting, our digesting, our restorative aspects of self. One more time, bring your full attention to your breathing and continue with one last round of this longest, easiest full breath. And really see if you can dissolve any of that tension you might still notice. Let it melt away with your exhale. At the end of that full exhalation, simply return to your natural breathing. Take a moment again, just feeling your body here in your resting pose, noticing where your body meets the floor. We're going to slowly wake up the physical body with any small movements at first that just feel nice. Fingers and toes wiggling, wrists and ankles rolling, maybe even stretching your body, or even giving it a little shake, a roll, or even reaching the arms overhead, and releasing breath out the mouth. We're going to bend the knees and put the feet below the knees. Just a little bit of movement through the spine while we're here in this really supported position. So you want your feet and your knees, they're in alignment with each other, so they're more or less parallel. And the back of your foot, the heel, right underneath your knee. So you should be able to touch it with your middle finger. And then with your hands, again, resting on the floor, we're going to inhale and tilt your pelvis forward. That's the lower support of the spine. And your tail reaches down. As you exhale, the pelvis tilts back, your tailbone reaches up in between your knees. So as you inhale, you're going to feel this arch in your back getting bigger, especially the lower back. Your chest might rise a bit. As you exhale, you're going to bring that belly in, your navel pulling towards the spine as you extend. Inhaling, arching here, and exhaling, rounding the back, especially the lower back, coming into more contact with the ground. Just do this 2 more times in your rhythm. Really listening to your body here, and whenever possible, at all times in your practice. Lovely. Then we're going to bend the knee, bend both knees, and just give yourself a little hug, squeezing your legs into your body, but at the same time, lengthening your lower back. So that tailbone reaching down towards the mat and away from your head, extending the lower back, and then maybe squeezing a little bit more. And then we're just going to massage the back body with some rolls to the side. You could also add a little bit more circular movement, moving through the knees if that felt good. We just want to use the pressure here of the floor to notice some more perspective about your back, especially around the hips and even the shoulders. Massaging the back of the head a bit. But be careful when you're on your back. Anytime you're on the floor, you want to never push or impinge your neck. You never want to feel like the neck is in any kind of strain. All right. And we're also going to roll up and down on the spine. It's another nice way to massage the back. And you could do this until you come up to a seated position. If that feels like too much, feel free to just roll over to your side and then come up into a seat. Nice. We're going to sit up nice and tall here, and I actually recommend you sit up on something. If you have a block or a thick book, something very stable you could use. Or if you don't, you could also use some blankets or a bolster. Lastly, we also have a mat. We can simply fold the mat a couple of times and place it underneath the sitting bones. You want to have a connection here from the base of your spine, the base of the pelvis, and the sitting bones, so that you can lift your whole back nice and tall. I'll show you from a couple ways. So I find, a couple folds of the mat or a blanket folded up is just going to make it easier in the hips for you to sit up a little bit taller. We're going to inhale and reach the arms overhead, and then exhale, hands back to the center of the heart. Interlace your fingers and then spread your palms out wide away from you as you keep your shoulders relaxed in the back. And inhale, we're going to again arch the back, looking up if that feels good in the neck. And then exhale, releasing the arms, slow and easy with the breath. Inhale, reaching up. Exhale, coming back to center. Inhaling, stretching out from your heart center, but again, maintaining that connection, the shoulders resting in the support of the back, and then inhaling, arching, and exhaling, releasing. We're going to do that one more time and adding a little bit of that cat-cow action from our center. So here we're going to, from hands in front of the heart, round back a little bit, and then interlace the fingers and arch up, reaching the palms of the hands away. And then exhaling, neutral, easy seat. Let's try that one more time. Inhale, reaching. Exhale, releasing and rounding back. Belly into the spine. Inhale, heart forward, arching the back. Exhaling, soften, and release. Just notice how that feels in your seat. Now we're going to start with some side bend. I think for this one, a block is a nice height for me, but Sit up as high as you need to again so that you feel good through your, especially groin area, the inner hips, and no pain in your knees. You can also put something underneath your knee if you feel like one knee is much higher than the other. We're going to start with your left hand on the ground. And inhale, reach that right arm up. Notice your shoulders. Let's see if you can relax the right shoulder just as much as the left. If your left hand doesn't touch the ground easily, you might put something underneath it or come onto your fingertips. Lift the crown of your head up. And then we're going to side bend to the left. So by bending the elbow a little bit, and we're really bending only sideways here. So if you notice your shoulders, they should both feel like they're facing forward. Inhale and lengthen the spine again. And then exhale, you might bend the elbow a little bit more, even walk your hands sideways to the left. And soften into that side bend. You could keep this dynamic if you like and come out of it with your inhales. That helps you feel longer, lighter through the spine. And then you can use your exhales to just soften back in where you were, or stay there for a breath again. And using the exhales just to be, just to feel. Inhale, come back up. Engage your center so the belly pulls in, and then exhale, release both arms by your side. Just pause and notice. Maybe you notice already some changes, some feelings in your side body and the spaces between the ribs. Maybe the right feels different from the left. And then we'll do the second side. So with the right fingers on the floor, inhale the left arm up. Lift the crown of the head as your chin stays parallel to the floor. And exhale, let's soften both shoulders. Make sure that left shoulder feels like it's at the same height as the right. And then we inhale, lifting the center line up again. And exhale, bending the right elbow. We side bend to the right. Being careful not to take this into a forward bend as much as possible. And again, you have that choice, if it feels better for you, of being a little more dynamic with this side bend. You can come to center and lengthen. Exhale, bending the elbow and just softening into your side bend. So we're compressing now the right side a bit to see if we can lengthen a little bit more on the left. In any case, your breath here is really your guide. So you want to move in a way and hold the positions at a place where you can enjoy a full, glorious breath, really. Let your exhales again be complete. One last breath here in this side bend, and then inhale back up to center. Maybe reaching both arms and the heart lifting. Exhale and soften. Nice. Okay. In seated position. We're going to be here for a little while, so you really want a comfortable seat. Start to palm your hands together, rubbing the palms, the insides, but also all of the fingers of each hand against the palms and fingers of the other hand. You're going to push each hand into the other while doing this, so you create a lot of friction. And you're creating heat as well as this friction, and that's cleaning the surface of your hands. It's sometimes called washing the hands without water. And what you want to look for here is a nice warm feeling throughout both hands. When you feel like you've got that warmth, sit up tall and then bring the palms of your hands. So cup your hands a little bit, like a little cave shape, a little curve. Bring the bottom of your hand, the palm, over your eyes. What you want to do is cover the eyes completely here. We're letting the eyes rest in a warm and dark space. Being careful not to push on your eyes. The fingers here now are resting with the thumbs close to the temple of the head. That space kind of just outside to the sides of the forehead. The fingers also in the scalp line, and this allows you to massage, if you like, around your head. I really enjoy that massage for the temple area. Noticing also if one side feels very different. You tend to get tension headaches. They might often be located more on one side. And the eyes are a really important part of us, as you're aware. They take in most of the information that we process throughout the day. And especially in this time of a lot of screen time for many of us, and connecting to people only through these devices, we get a lot of this artificial light through the eyes, which can be very stimulating. And myself especially, and I'm sure some of you have this too, I don't give my eyes enough time to simply rest. That's a really important aspect of them maintaining their abilities to see, abilities also to focus, to direct attention. So it's recommended that about if every 20 minutes, especially if you are working with screens and artificial light, that you give every 20 minutes a brief 20-second rest for your eyes. Just notice if you see anything, any colors, any movements, any shapes. And again, see if you can soften and let go of any tension you might be holding on to that you don't need. Sitting up tall and easy in your breath. As you're ready, we're going to let the hands come back to the legs and gently release the eyes. Just noticing how you feel. So that's one essential and really easy way to give your eyes some tender, loving care. And we're also going to do some more yoga for the eyes and the upper body that will strengthen the supporting muscles that allow this part of the body to feel good and do their work. So start with another one you could do about every 20 minutes, or depending on how your eyes feel, maybe more or less, to train the little muscles around the eyes to focus sharply and also easily changing. So we'll start with bringing your focus to the tip of the nose. And then I want you to shift your focus to something about 20 meters or 20 feet apart. It's really at some distance where it's far, but you can still see it clearly. It's also nice if there's something there that you can read, like the numbers on a clock or your favorite piece of art. And then shift your focus back to a distance about at the tip of your nose. See if you can see the tip of your nose. We're just going to do that 20 times. Changing your focus to something in the distance. It's far enough, but I can still see it and focus on it clearly. And then shifting focus back real close. You can do this very rapidly or more slowly. The important part is that you are able to change your focus and bring it exactly where you want it with your attention, and at that sharpness where you could even read something, even in the distance, or maybe see the very tip of your nose. Nice. Go ahead and do that shift one more time. And then we're going to be working right here in seated still. If you can stay stable and easy in your seat with your legs crossed this way, stay like that. You could also change the cross of your legs at any time, or even shake and roll your legs, especially if you felt some numbing, tingling. Now we're going to see if we can move our eyes and only the eyes. And we'll start with an easy up and down. We're just going to, without moving the head or the body as much as possible, lift your eyes, roll them up to look at the top of your vision, and then look down, looking at the very bottom of your field of vision. I'll do this about 10 times, up and down. Looking all the way up, looking as far down as you can. And as I said before, we never want to strain the eyes. So if any of these movements feels sharp, you feel all of a sudden something like electrical, a very big sensation, take it easy, pause. You can always come back to closing your eyes and taking a break. Great. So complement here is now going to be left and right looking. Again, without moving the head or neck as much as possible, shift your gaze, shift your eyes to the full left side, and then look all the way to the right. Again, looking as far left as left can be, and looking all the way right without moving the head or the neck. Again, we're going to do this about 10 times. And as with everything that I invite you to try today, you could always do more or less, just depending on how that feels for you. See if you can also notice if one side is very different from the others. Or if you happen to notice one part of the body more while you're doing these exercises, that could be a sign of how you are holding your body, holding your head and neck. And oftentimes we have these unconscious patterns that are not always serving us. They can be quite imbalanced and create extra strain, extra weakness even on one side of the body by imbalanced use of the whole. Now we're going to add the corners of the eyes here. And so I'll show with my arms just so it's really clear. For the first inhale, I'm going to look up to the left corner of my field of vision. And as I exhale, I'm going to look all the way down to the opposite, bottom right. Inhale, looking all the way up, but you are only moving your eyes. And as you exhale, to the opposite corner. Again, about 10 times. Notice if any of these directions, any of these exercises is more difficult. You might feel more of a tendency to compensate and move other parts of the body in some of these relationships, and that's okay. The important part is just that you're able to notice it. I notice the bottom right part of my neck is a little bit more tense as I'm doing these exercises than anywhere else in the neck and the head. And I think I know why, based on how I usually sit at my working space or stand. We'll do one more time in this orientation. And then return the eyes back to neutral. I think you know where we're going. We're going to the opposite diagonal corner. So on an inhale, take your gaze, move only the eyes to the top rightmost part where you can see, and then exhale down to the bottom left corner. Trying to keep the face as relaxed as you can, softening your eyebrows as you do this, although there will be some small movements that just go with this very, very strong focus of our vision. We're just training the eyes, also kind of recalibrating the eyes to remember how they have a full and free range of motion. They're moving all the time, actually. And it's our brain that's really doing the heavy lifting of seeing, computing all of this work, in a sense, giving us a simulation of our reality and everything we think we see. It's really happening in our brain. And that makes sense too, because the eyes are just an extension of our brain and they're connected to it through the optic nerve. So this is a really great way to relieve also any tiredness, any heaviness, or just that kind of like fogginess you might feel sometimes in your brain, especially when you're tired. Wonderful. Okay. So we've been sitting for a while, and we're going to just do one more thing for the head and the neck before we come into some standing pose for the rest of the upper body. We're going to feel first all of the sides of your neck and notice where your shoulders rest in your back. Again, see if one shoulder feels like it's much higher than the other. And we'll just squeeze both shoulders up towards the ears on an inhale, and exhale, let the shoulders drop and release. Again, inhale, lift both shoulders up. See if you can touch your earlobes or get real close. And then exhale and drop the shoulders. Release the breath. Sometimes that's really nice to do slowly. So you can inhale and pull the shoulders up. And then as you exhale, slowly pull the shoulders back and down. Try that one more time in the way that feels best for you. Really see if you can use your breath to soften any of that hard feeling, any tension you don't need. And we'll just do a couple easy circles with the shoulders. You could do this 2 at a time. You can also roll one shoulder first, especially if you notice a big difference in one side. It might work better for you today. You might get more insight and perspective on what you're feeling, going a little slower and one at a time. And we'll do them backwards. I want you to imagine here your shoulders are tracing the roundest circle that you can. So if there was a wall to your side, it's like your shoulder, the ball of the shoulder, and the head of the arm bone is moving as round as it can. And that might mean you have to slow down or get smaller, or maybe both shoulders feel really easy, really open and fluid. And you can warm that up a bit. Nice. Okay. So from seated, you might cross your legs and see if you can get up without using your hands by maintaining the cross of your feet and engaging your core. So you can pull the belly into the body, bring your hands forward, and you just come up and come to standing, moving any props out of your way you might have been using. Super. Now I want you to stand in mountain pose here with your feet parallel and your knees following your toes. So if you look at your mat, it has these parallel edges, and the inside, the outsides of your feet just follow that. And your knees always want to follow your toes. This helps keep the knees in alignment. Let your arms face forward. So the biceps facing forward, and this will help your shoulders relax a little bit more in the back. Actually, I want to rotate the arms here to see if we can notice where the best position is for your hands right now. So we can have the palms facing forward. And we can feel what happens in the shoulders, especially the shoulder blades, if I rotate the hands back. Inhale, rotating the hands forward. And exhale, rotating the hands back. Now for me, I feel especially on my left side, there's a big kind of pulling and rounding of the front of the shoulder if I rotate my hand back. And this is often associated with like slouching and a shortened spine. It actually decreases the room for your collarbones and the breathing space. And then when I have my hands forward, or even sometimes rotated out a little bit, so now the palms are facing forward, the shoulder blades in the back of my body come a little bit closer to the spine, broadening the chest, but also supporting the back of the heart. And this is a nice position for me today. So with your hands resting in that best position, maybe it's palms forward, maybe it's palms a little bit more up, we're just going to move the arms with the breath. So wait for your inhale, and on an inhale, lift the arms. And then following your exhale, with the shoulders relaxing in the body, release the arms down like they're riding your breath. So your breath is leading here. And it's like your arms are riding this wave of the breath. The goal here is, again, to feel your neck, feeling all of the sides of your neck, the front just as long as the back, the left side feeling just as long as the right. Your chin resting nice and parallel. The head is tall. And you can maybe lift your heart a little bit. We're not too focused on the legs here, but I want to just mention that your knees should always have a gentle bend in it. Even if it's a micro bend, we want the legs to be active here while we're going to be focusing in the upper body. But we never want to lock the knees, as this will reduce the circulation and can even reduce it so much if your knees are locked that the blood flow being restricted will make you feel dizzy or faint. So plant the corners of your feet down as you energize your legs a little bit more. And let's lift the heart one more time as we lift the arms. And then we're going to keep the arms here and bring the legs together. And go ahead and grab your right wrist, relaxing your shoulders. Lift the crown of the head up. And then we're going to take that side bend again over to the left side. Reaching your right foot, especially the back of the foot down, will help ground you as you bend to the left. And notice if you have a tendency to take this into a forward bend, really try to restrict it to a side bend, either staying static here, using your breath to lengthen, or you can get a little bit more dynamic if that feels more interesting. Coming back to center and then softening to the left. So your hand holding the wrist there, mostly for guidance and just a little bit of traction, but you should not feel like you're forcing the arm. Definitely don't want to feel any pain in your shoulder. Let it relax into the back. And then with an inhale, engage your belly, navel pulling in as you lift up. And we're just going to switch to the other side. I like having my legs close together for this one, kind of like a tree trunk, reaching down with the legs as I side bend now to the right. Reach long through your spine. So from the crown of your head up, from your tail reaching down towards your feet, and lengthen that side with your inhales, that top side on the left, really expanding. Even the space in between the ribs and the length of your waist. And your exhales, just looking for, again, anything that might be stiff that you can kind of just melt with your breath. Let's take one more breath here. And soften. Nice. Come back with a little bit of core engagement and then release the arms. And we're going to take the feet out nice and wide. I like for this one more base, a wider base, easier balance. And again, it'll help me hold my upper body nice and tall easily. We're going to bring the arms out wide, shoulder height, so you can feel the shoulders in the back. And you're going to start with very small arm circles. So the shoulders, one of the most mobile joints that we have in the body, and really intricate in all of the tissues and especially the small muscles that support these movements. So the goal of these very small circles is to feel a little bit more what's going on in both of your shoulders. So oftentimes when we have head and neck tension, the root of that is in the shoulders. So you might notice one side is very different than the other, and that's fine. In fact, by noticing it, working slowly and mindfully, you're actually giving yourself that feedback, those impressions that will help you help your body recover from any injuries or maybe just that daily use or maybe overused from an overworked part of the body. Now, if things feel fluid and round, we can make the circles bigger, but the goal again here is just feeling, so move at a speed and a size that works for you. And then we're going to reverse the direction. So we'll start really small again in the other direction. Hands facing down might feel the best for you, or you might try rotating again the hands to find a position that is most interesting, that really gets you into your body, especially those shoulders. The head of the arm bone resting in the shoulder socket, The shoulder blades resting heavy in the back. We have a nice open chest here, lifted by the support of your legs, by your center, and of course, the breath. And go ahead and get bigger with it if that feels good for you, or just stay at that small size. By now, hopefully you're feeling a lot of warmth and also maybe some tiredness. That's what I want. I want you to feel those shoulders warming up, maybe even a little bit of feelings of pins and needles and aching. If you can get so big in your arms that your arms cross, or so big in these circles, then do that so that one arm crosses first and then the other. So you alternate which arm is leading. It's good coordination work for the brain. And then we'll go in the other direction again. It could start at those small circles, or if things are feeling good, around, then we'll take those big arm circles now. Again, looking for heat and a feeling of, whew, I'm doing work in those shoulders, even though it's such an easy movement, right? Just simple arm circles. But the truth of it is probably most of us don't do these easy, natural movements enough. And they're the kind of movements that our body was designed to do. So the joints need to move to be healthy. And let's go switching again one last time. Also switching the arms, which arm leads. A nice complementary and easy brain training while you do this superb shoulder work. Excellent. Slow it down, let it rest. Bring your legs underneath you so that the knees are right over the feet, hips right over the knees, shoulders right above your hips. And just stand tall and feel that. So we're going to do one of my favorite stretches for especially the front side of the shoulders, the space where we're notoriously tight, many of us. And so for this one, again, starting with your arms by your side, feet hip distance apart, what I'm going to do is interlace the fingers behind the back, resting your hands on the lowest part of your back. Now what I don't want to do here is lock the elbows, just like we don't lock the knees. I don't need a straight arm here. What's more important for me is the expansive space in the back body, creating more room for the breath. And so I do that by bending the elbows a little bit, keep the elbows soft. If you can't reach your hands this way, you could just reach for your elbows or even hold something in between your hands. But with the elbows gently bent here, I'm going to pull my elbows apart. That's not a big movement. It's really just an isometric engagement. Lifting the chin again, lifting your heart as you breathe deeply. And so I'm expanding both the front and the back sides of the upper body here. More room for a full breath. And then slowly, I'm going to start to move my hands away from the back. So the hands, the knuckles of your fingers are reaching away and maybe even a little bit up towards the ceiling, but your shoulders stay heavy. They're resting in the back. So your shoulders gently pull or sort of fall down into that upper back support as you start to lift the hands away and up. And for this one, we're going to release on an inhale. Inhale, and let that go. See how it feels? And we're going to do the same thing now with maybe a wider stance. You can open your legs more. And we're going to take that into a forward bend. Still, the knees follow the feet. And then exhale, bending from your hips, forward bend so that you could easily touch the floor with your fingers. And go ahead and bring your hands again behind your back in whatever way you can hold them. And notice which thumb is on top. If you can remember, interlace the other leg. So now the other thumb is on top. So resting, first the hands on the sacrum. Bending your knees enough so we can get some length and a good feeling in the lower back. Let your head and neck be heavy. And then inhale, start to engage, pulling the left elbow left, the right elbow right as you lift your hands away from your back. And we don't need straight arms for this. but you are lengthening through the arms, expanding through the whole back and chest as you gently move the back, or you move your hands towards the back of your head. You might not get there, and that's quite all right. Let's just take 2 more rich, easy breaths. Exhale this time and release. Hands back to the floor, and then inhale, hands to your hips, elbows facing up. Inhale, and come on up. Now, if you're feeling at all woozy or dizzy, always keeping your eyes open, a gentle bend in the knees, and listen to your body, following your breath. Now we're going to do one more of my favorite circular actions here before we come down to the ground for a couple of bridge poses, really strengthening for the neck. A nice heart opener. This one you have to generate your own resistance for, and I think showing from the side and the front is going to help. So what you want is for your elbows to be easy, resting by your side, and your hands facing up. Stand tall. And then imagine you're pulling something very heavy. You're generating your own resistance when you do that, engaging all of the muscles of your arm as you inhale, pulling your arms back. When your hands come by your body, you turn the hands. We're doing a lot of twisting and rotating here, and extend them back. And then as you exhale, we're going to bring the hands around and forward, leading with the back of your arm, the back of the hand. So again, as you inhale, elbows soft, arms feel really strong here. So I can really feel the biceps twisting and reaching back. As you exhale, you're squeezing. Imagine there's someone in front of you that you want to give a hug to with the back of your arms. For me, this is one of the most informative exercises that I can do for a lot of the connective tissue around my shoulder and even up into the neck. I often feel and hear quite a lot of sensation, some popping, some twinging and pulling sounds. That might be the case for you. And so you really want to move mindfully here. And as always, follow your breath. I'm just going to do 3 more of these circles. Standing tall. Moving slowly, like you were moving through molasses, moving through something really thick. Ooh, and notice what comes unstuck or what still feels a little bit sticky perhaps. And maybe even try slowing down there and sending your awareness, which will help guide the energy of your breath there and help the body do its good work. Excellent. Ooh. Okay. You might want to roll the shoulders out again. And then we're going to come down onto the mat. You can also see if we can come down to a seat without using our hands. We can do that same cross of the ankles as before, or take a wide stance and bending the knees, following the toes lower down into a squat. And here you could practice that dropping or just ease your way down with your hands. You come to rest on your back. For this one, you want your feet on the floor, knees above your heels. And the feet are going to be parallel again. You'll notice the knees are parallel to each other, arms by your side, with the hands facing up. So before we come into bridge, we'll bring our knees together and just take a gentle twist. You can bring the right knee on top of the left. And you might want to have a bolster or maybe a block to your side. And you may want to scoot your hips to the right as you drop your legs over to the left. Now, having some support for under your legs could be useful, especially if you feel any difficulty in your lower back. And maybe you can bring your legs all the way to the floor while keeping your upper body, keeping especially the back of the head and the shoulders supported on the earth. You can keep looking up or look in the opposite direction, or even just let the neck smoothly slide, head supported on the ground. To come out, we're going to breathe out all the way and pull the belly in. As you inhale, use that core support to bring your legs back up and release. We'll cross the legs the other way if you were doing crossed legs. You can also do this without crossing the legs if that feels better. I scoop my hips to the side, giving a little bit more room for my seat so that I can feel my hips. They're more or less on top of each other. What I'm looking for here is an open feeling in the lower back. And it's not necessary that the legs come all the way to the ground, but you do want to have a base. In this case, it's the upper body for this twist. So back of both shoulders resting on the floor, back of the head. Looking to the opposite side or looking in any direction that feels best for your head and neck. Nice. At the end of an exhale, engage that core again, belly in. As you inhale, bring the legs back up. And coming back again into that position of bent knees and knees right over the heel. You could double check with that finger. And then bend also the elbows so that the palms face each other, face inwards, and the fingers point up. Now, the back of the head is on the ground for this. Your chin gently moving in the direction of your chest so that you feel the length on all sides of the neck. On an inhale, we're going to push down through the back of the arms, the elbows and the shoulders pushing down. Even the back of the head gently pushes down so you can lift your hips up. Now we're going to try to stay here for 3 breaths, imagining your knees are moving away from your forehead as you lift your heart and breathe deep. Nice engagement in your core. Nice opener for the heart. And this time, for the first time we come down, we're going to explore what it's like if we lower the tailbone first. So on an exhale, I want you to bring your tailbone in the direction of your heels, nice and slowly. Try to get the back long and bring the tail down first, the sitting bones, and then release the middle, the upper back. Sometimes I have to move my shoulders a little bit up to get the whole back resting down again. Might pause right there and just feel. And we're going to do bridge pose one more time. You can start here with robot arms, elbows by your side. Inhale, push down to lift up. And I like to snuggle the shoulders a little bit more inward. I'm not really trying to squeeze the shoulders so much as root them down. So find a really stable position for the back of the shoulders, and then extend your arms out wide by your side. So for this one, I find the hands facing up to be the best position for my shoulders and the back of the head, so I can feel the length in all sides of the neck. Reaching your knees away from your head, breathing deep. And for just the next few breaths, we're going to open the jaws, opening your mouth and letting the chin lead you through a couple more circles. You know you're doing this one right if it feels like you're making very funny faces. And try those circles in the other direction. Notice if one direction is different, if one circle feels a lot more jagged, maybe got some corners to it. Again, not forcing anything, but really just exploring neutrally. listening to the body and enjoying your breath. And this time we're going to come down the classic way, rolling from the upper back, lowering the back of the chest, then lowering the middle back, lowering the lower back, and then the tail and the sitting bones touching down as the natural arch of your lower back gently returns. With your feet here, resting above your knees, you could have arrived. You might be exactly where you want to be for your final resting pose. This is a nice supported version of Shavasana. If you take this pose, you might want to bring one hand to the belly, one hand to the heart. If you like, you could open your feet as wide as the mat and let the knees also rest one against the other. It's a really nice way to let the body hold itself while letting your whole body also rest into the support of the earth. If everything was feeling good in the lower back, you might also want the full version, a very open and expansive Shavasana, extending one leg out, then the other, and then letting your feet be heavy as you let your legs roll out, your arms by your sides, holding the hands in a way that you feel that firm connection of the back, especially the shoulders, the back of the head, resting on the earth. Just as we started, we're going to take a few moments here to feel the physical body and use our exhales to see if there's any tension you might be holding on to that you can just let go. Using your inhale to stay present and noticing where you meet the earth. Notice those contact points. And then as you exhale, allowing the earth to hold you a little more. If you're wearing glasses, you might want to take them off. Closing your eyes as you're ready, or perhaps adding a little bit more warmth with an extra layer. We prepare to settle in for the next few minutes, peeling off layers of tension through mindful presence and a constant connection, resting our attention on the breath. If at any time you become distracted or even doze off, don't worry. Instead, simply notice when your mind has wandered. Notice what has taken your attention. As soon as you've noticed that, bring your full attention back to the natural rise and fall of your beautiful breath. We'll begin again, using every exhale to look for ways where you can relax a little more. Noticing and feeling and just enjoying being you. Whenever you're ready, wherever you are, slowly bring your attention back to the room you're in, back to the sensations in your body, back to your breath. And as you're ready, start to deepen your breathing, noticing any changes, especially changes from where you started an hour ago. As you notice the changing sensations of this increasing motion, increasing vibration of every breath, when you start to feel your body feels like waking up, and you start again with those small movements that just feel natural, that just feel right. Moving in any way that feels good, and also taking the time that you need. Perhaps taking one last stretch with the arms overhead, resting on the floor, and then reaching from your fingertips through your toes, and exhaling with a big sigh before bending one leg and then the other, and finishing with a big hug again. And we'll roll to your right side. Just rest for a moment before using your hands to help yourself up. One more time into a comfortable seat. So sit in any way where you can sit easily, sit comfortably, sitting up tall in your spine. I'm just noticing. Thank you for joining me here in this therapeutic practice. You can finish by thanking yourself, bringing hands to the center of the heart. Thank you for making time in your day for yoga. May your practice benefit you and those around you. Namaste.